Hello everybody and welcome back to Cosmic Background, and today we are doing Kerbal Space Program tutorials. So I have recently got Kerbal Space Program version 1.10. So we will be doing a tutorial on how to orbit Kerbin. So let's get right into it. So we're going to go into the vehicle assembly building, and we're probably just going to choose a stock rocket, which I have right here. I'm choosing the Kerbal 1 stock rocket. You can just go to the, if you have this version, you can go to the open, and it shows you, it gives you a list of stock options, and I choose the Kerbal 1. It's $13,132 or Kerbals. I don't know what the currency is, but we're gonna start. So let's take it apart. We have two SRBs here, or yeah, two SRBs. I think that's a swivel engine. We have small delta fins. We have the two decouplers there and another decoupler there, and I think that's a Terrier. Yeah, that's a Terrier right there for our second stage. We have solar panels, batteries, and I think who should we choose today? We'll choose Jebediah is gonna come into our flight today. So let's get started. Launch. Okay, here we are at the launch pad. We got Jebediah in our bottom right. We could EVA him if you want, but I'm not gonna right now. Here's our staging on the right, so you can switch them around, but right now I have the first swivel engine and the two SRBs fire, then our two decouplers to decouple our two SRBs, another decoupler, and then fire up the Terrier, and then finally detach from the entire rocket so that just Jebediah's capsule makes it back home. Over here is our controls. We have A and D for yaw. Roll is pitch is W and S, and roll is Q and E to control those. Our nav ball is the big ball in the center. It's basically telling us where our rocket positioned in space. So we want to be going east when we take off or launch. And then over here is our altitude, how far we are in the atmosphere, and I think that's pressure, atmospheric pressure, and then we can go back to the Space Center and recover the vessel. That's our time in the lower upper left corner, and we have our gas or fuel, and a bunch of other handy things in over here, like what astronaut we have. Okay, let's get this started. So press Z to max out your throttle. As you can see, this goes up. T, or that's R, T to press SAS, which is a system. So basically, the computer aids you in minor adjustments in pitch, roll, and yaw. So you should probably press T to toggle that on. Otherwise, you'll be doing manual, and it's extremely hard to control. RCS stands for Reaction Control System. It's only if we have RCS, which we do. This thing is RCS. Right, that's RCS, so I'm going to toggle that, pressing R. Okay, I think we're ready to launch. Press space to launch. Okay, a quick gravity turn. Over here. So this is called our gravity turn. We're turning, as you can see on the nav ball. We want to make sure that we're in a circular orbit around Earth. So instead of going straight up, we want to make some of our velocity into horizontal velocity, which helps our rocket ship get into orbit. We're almost out of solid fuel here, so we're going at 490 meters per second, and there goes our SRB, so I'm going to jettison them. That's fine, because that's just because the SRBs exploded into each other. That's okay. Alright, so here is our map view. And this is called our apiapsis. So for people who know physics, this is actually our apogee. So we want this apiapsis to be 80,000. Because space in Kerbal Space Program starts at 70,000. We want this to be 80,000, so we have a bit of security, just in case. Right, we're almost out of liquid fuel, and we're going to jettison that. Okay, goodbye. And our Terrier engine. So we want that to be 80,000. And our speed, it gets faster as our speed increases. As you can see, we're getting a bit faster here. This is at 63, 64. Almost to 80,000. And you can see it's already starting to go. What would happen if you did not burn? What would happen is you would just keep going along this path and then fall. But right now it's 80,000. Fall over here and crash land into that continent over there, whatever it's called. Anyway, so we're at 80,000. A little bit over is okay, but not too much over. So as you can see, it says T minus 1 minute 23 seconds to apiapsis. What we want to do is we want to raise this orbit so that it goes around the entire Earth, or Kerbin. So we need to burn again. So I like to burn at T minus 52 seconds so that we can raise our orbit. So that's called the orbit raising maneuver. So I burn at 52. So keep your hands on Z. Ready? 3, 2, 1, burn. So now, as you can see, now the orbit is getting raised over here, and in the end, it should hopefully encircle the entire Kerbin. You may not think it will, but that's because right now it's going at only 1,400 meters per second. It needs to be going near 2,000 for this thing to go really fast around. And then another thing called a periapsis will come into view, not yet, but after it encircles and meets up with this end. It's something called a periapsis, and the apiapsis and the periapsis switch. So we should have a periapsis somewhere around here after we're done burning. And that's the mun, by the way, which is pretty cool. I'll be showing you how to get to the mun in a later video, which is coming. So now we're going 2,000. Now you can see this thing moving fast. If you ever, it takes a lot of fuel to get into Kerbin atmosphere, so do not get discouraged if you're having to use a lot of fuel. It doesn't take, so there's the periapsis, boom. The periapsis has finally decided to appear. It does not take a maneuver node to get into orbit, but yeah, this is not the best orbit. Okay, there goes our engines. So let's jettison. Okay, so now Jebediah is alone. Right, so let's explain what's going on here. So here's our apiapsis, which is at 1,621,000 in space. Our periapsis is at 35,000, which is bad, but I'm only doing one orbit. So if you want to just complete one orbit and then go back to Kerbin, this is the rocket you can choose to do that. But periapsis is at 35,000, so that's below the space in Kerbin, which is, as I said before, 70,000. So if you want to keep orbiting Kerbin, you need more fuel, and you'd put it at, you need that periapsis has to be above 70,000 for you to keep orbiting Kerbin. So now we can do something called time warping, which is the greater than and less than keys, or period and comma. So I can time warp, and we're almost back in Kerbin. Okay, here we go. So we need to prepare for reentry. I didn't actually bring a heat shield, so that's kind of bad, but In reality, what you want to do for reentry is to prepare a heat shield, which makes sure that the thermal conditions inside the cabin is suitable for the astronauts so that Jeb can actually survive. Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. So we're gonna prepare for reentry by, I think it's retrograde, right here. I'll teach you what that means in a later video, but that basically means it's positioning your ship in a different direction, in the opposite direction. So prograde's forward, retrograde's backward. That's basically what it means. So here we go. I'm gonna time warp a bit. So we hit the atmosphere. You can see it's dropping, and then the music will stop. Yeah, the music stopped. So we're dropping altitude. It's okay. We're reentry, preparing for reentry. Okay, come on. That's just a warning for time warping. You don't want to time warp when you're like in the atmosphere, but here we go. Anyways, that's for overheat, which is kind of bad. So here we go. The flame, usually there's a heat shield right there so that when we get a bit toasty inside, it would protect Jeb. But here we go. We are hurtling through the atmosphere. Look at us go. Okay, here we go. Going to time warp back to 1. We are past the toasty bit now. Here we go. Are we going to land on the mountain? I want to deploy. Here we go. It's getting ready. Parachute is ready to deploy. So we'll deploy it. Deploy. And there goes our chute. To deploy a parachute, you could either press the staging button, or you could right click on the parachute and say deploy. They'll give you a list of options and you can say deploy chute. I think it's at the end. Right, let's time warp all the way back down to Earth. So this, I think, has to be like around 20 meters per second. We might explode. But we'll see. Ideally, you should go and land in the water, but this is not ideal. I mean, this will be, hopefully we'll be able to slow down to 20 meters per second or so for touchdown. If Jeb dies, I'll be kind of sad. Here, let me show you how to EVA. You can EVA him too. Oh, here's the parachute. The parachute has deployed. Okay, here we go. We have slowed down to 8 meters per second. So, yeah, you shouldn't be really scared that your parachute's not going to hold on, because I'm using an M16 parachute, Mark 16. So it'll deploy after, like, at 1,500 or so. You can set the deploy rate differently for different crafts if you right click in the vehicle assembly building. But here we go. And it's like change the minimum altitude pressure or something like that. And here we are. Let's go. Boom. And we're safely back on Kerbin after a quick orbital flight. We're on a mountain, actually. Looks like. Okay, can we EVA him? Boom. Woo! I'll show you more about EVAing in our MUN video, which is coming very soon. But actually, I'll just show you now, because it's pretty fun. Right, so for EVA, you can walk around with which WASD. But the cool part is the jetpack. So press Shift, or no, it's R, I believe. Yeah, R to toggle that. And then it's Shift. Can we get up? And then it's Shift, like that. Can we get it? We don't actually have enough power. Yeah, Jeb doesn't have power. But usually on the MUN, since this is the Kerbin, we don't have power. We can't, jetpack up. But on the MUN, it works perfectly like a snack. And I'll show you that in a coming video. Next video will be how to get to the MUN. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I will see you in the next video for getting into the MUN in the cheapest cost. I'll see you then. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.